So The Chosen surprised us this week with not just one, but actually two new scenes, at least portions of scenes that they showed us. The first one was really interesting. Here's the second one that we're going to dive into today, and it has to do with episode 1 of season 4, which is all about John the Baptist. It's going to be about his birth. It's going to be about possibly Jesus being baptized by John the Baptist, and then also obviously his death after the banquet with Salome and Herodias and Herod Antipas. We're going to dive into this. Here we go. All right. So first off, we're introduced to Salome. Salome, not the mother of James and John, but the daughter of Herodias. Now, we see this in scripture. We've gone over this many, many times, but this has to do with the banquet. So here, looks like she is in some sort of practice area for the banquet, which we've also seen in the behind the scenes. We've talked about this previously, but here's an actual piece of the scene. She begins the scene listening to her instructor as he writes a line of chalk on the ground, showing her exactly where she needs to land for her final move. She begins to do so, and then she lands a little bit too far earlier on. Now she tries it again. The instruments start going. She lands, and she then lands perfectly where she needs to land in the spot. Now, the whole time that she's doing this, her mother is actually in the corner. This is our first look properly, at least, at Herodias. All right, so I wanted to jump in here and tell you a little bit more about Herodias because this history is actually crazy. Starting off with Herod the Great, he had 10 wives, which of course we're not going to look at all of them today, but 4 of them are important for this story. To keep it simple, we'll go through the lines of each of these 4 wives and then describe what exactly is going on here. First, we have Miriamne I, who is a Hasmonean princess. She then has a son, Aristobulus, who eventually gets killed by Herod, but before that becomes the case, he marries Bernice, and they have a daughter, Herodias. That's who we're seeing here in this clip. Now, the next 3 sons of Herod that we're going to talk about are the more famous ones: Herod Archelaus, Herod Antipas, and Philip the Tetrarch. These are the 3 that you mainly hear about when you hear about Herod the Great's sons. So keep this in mind. Herodias is Herod the Great's granddaughter, but she ends up marrying not 1, but 2 of Herod the Great's sons, her uncles. Very, very strange stuff. First, she marries Herod Archelaus, and then eventually marries Herod Antipas. This is where we're seeing her in this clip. She's married to Herod Antipas at this point. But previously to that, she had a daughter with Herod Archelaus named Salome. That's the girl who is dancing in these clips. She is the daughter of Herod Archelaus and Herodias, the niece of Herod Antipas, which is going to lust after her in just a bit in this episode. Now, last but not least, something that we're not going to see in this episode is that Salome goes on and eventually marries her uncle as well, the 3rd brother that we're familiar with, Philip the Tetrarch, and becomes his wife, following in the footsteps of her mother, marrying her uncle. Oh man, no wonder John the Baptist had a field day with this family. So crazy. Hey, real quick, if you're enjoying this video, I'd love for you to subscribe. Our goal right now is to pass Rabbi Jason Sobel in subscribers, so we need your help to do that. Thank you so much. This is the main reason why Herodias wants John the Baptist dead, because he was calling out all of the stuff that she was doing, all the sin that she was involved with, and saying how disgusting it was that she was involved in all of these incestual tendencies. It's very, very weird. And even for that time, this would have still been an issue. It wasn't a common thing that was happening all the time. So John the Baptist called them out on it, and clearly they did not like that, especially Herodias.
It is right there in the book of Moses. If a man takes his brother's wife, it is impurity. He has uncovered his brother's nakedness. They shall be childless.
I understand it's against the law of Moses, but I'm here for bigger purposes than the breaking of rules.
You minimize incest?
Of course not.
What if the laws of Moses will be minimized?
All of this will be addressed. I'm not ready to get into the specifics.
You appear to be not ready to get into the specifics of a lot of things. For instance...
Stay on topic. The romantic lives of rulers and kings has been and always will be of enormous fascination to people. It was covered at length in Torah. I don't see why you feel the need to focus on it now.
He's a client king, or tetrarch, or whatever. He's one of us, and he's unlawful. I am not afraid of him. He may not be as bad as his father, but he is still bad. I'm gonna march straight into his court, and I'm gonna tell him to his face. My followers will love it.
You do know how that's going to end, don't you?
I get arrested all the time.
We won't say when, but it's coming, at the death of John the Baptist.
Oh, that's right.
It's a death that you expect, but you don't know how it's going to happen.
Is it hard to say goodbye?
We knew all along John the Baptist was going to die. It's cool to have the opportunity to recreate a very impactful moment in Scripture. Not just John the Baptist's death, but all the things around it. How it impacts Jesus' disciples, particularly Andrew, who was close to John. How it impacts Jesus. When Jonathan was first thinking about you and being given the bad news, the thing that was really getting to him was thinking of you as kids together. Bringing it back to your childhood makes this just so personal, you know what I mean?
All right, so now that you're caught back up on all of the history of the crazy Herod dynasty here, let's jump back into this clip. Now, we've seen her a little bit in the behind the scenes, just very, very briefly. We saw her and Herod Antipas. This guarantees that that was her and that the person next to her was Herod Antipas as well. So we've seen both of them. Really, really interesting. Herod Antipas is like this kind of bigger, bald guy. He is a little bit whiter than I thought he was going to be, but but he is there. But anyway, so during that second time that she's going through, the instruments start playing. She starts to perform. She lands directly in front of who is supposed to be Herod Antipas here. On the dance floor there, she lands at the correct line. And then she goes into another pose and begins to rise up. Now, this portion is where I think it began to get kind of real when we start to think about it. The instructor begins to instruct her to rise up slowly, and he specifically says the words, "Make him wait, make it hurt." And so it's a very kind of sexually driven line there, like make him wait for you, make it hurt. Like it's pretty driven there, which is of course this dance is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to be kind of scandalous. It's supposed to be like Herod is really waiting to give her anything that she wants, up to half of his kingdom. Like it's really, really, really intense. And so as we look at that, it's not just this practice scene, but the actual scene we're going to see later on in the banquet. It's going to be really, really interesting, and I can't wait to see how that's actually going to work. Obviously, we know how it's going to play out. We know that Herod is going to say, you can have anything up to half of my kingdom. Herodias is then going to tell her to ask for John the Baptist's head, and it looks like they're making it seem as if Herodias had planned this from the very, very beginning. She's in this room, and she doesn't like the way that it played out. It was good for the instructor. He said that she did a really great job, but she was like, no, let's do it again from the top. Let's redo the whole dance, basically. So that was the scene, the small scene here. It was like a minute and a half maybe, just very, very small, but really, really compelling. I wonder how deep we're going to get into the psyche of Herodias and kind of seeing all of that together. Should be really, really interesting. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Absolutely. If you like this small portion of our live stream, you can check out the whole entire live stream over on our Patreon at patreon.com/thesnipelife. This is by far the best way to help support us and to keep us doing amazing things in the future of these videos. There's a lot of stuff we have planned, so I want you to be a part of it. All right, we'll see you on the next one. Peace.